Hey everyone, in today's video, we are going to explore a very important topic in the Indian geography, the physiology of the Himalayas. Now, just to clarify before we start, this video will only focus on the Indian geographical divisions of the Himalayas. We are not covering the formation process involving the plate tectonics and the geological history. That's a very separate topic and we'll dive into it in another video. So, for today, let's stick to the physical structure, how the Himalayas are divided direction wise and altitude wise. Let's get started. The Himalayas can be divided into different regions based on direction, from the west to the east. Moving from the westernmost part of the India to the east, we can classify the Himalayas into six major divisions. The first being the Western Himalayas. This part lies mostly in the Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. It promotes the prominent ranges like the Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar, Zaskar, Garhwal, and Kumaon ranges. Many famous hill stations, valleys, and pilgrimage sites are located in this region. See this region where you can see the entire Jammu Kashmir region stretching towards the Uttarakhand and Himachal part. This is the entire Western Himalayas part where you can see the majority of ranges, where you can see Pir Panjal somewhere here. Then we have the Dhauladhar, which is somewhere here. Then coming next, we have the Nag Tibba ranges, which is somewhere again here. Then we have the Kumaon range and the Garhwal range. Then we have the Nepal Himalayas, where this stretch lies predominantly in the Nepal region. It is home to the tallest Himalayan peaks, including the Mount Everest, Kanchenjunga, and Makalu. An important sub-range here is the Mahabharat Lake, where this is the entire Nepal Himalayan range, and the subdivision of the Mahabharat range can be seen somewhere around here. And in this region, you can see the majority peaks like the Mount Everest and the Kanchenjunga. Then, moving further, we have the Bhutan Himalayas, which are located to the east of Nepal, and these Himalayas lies across the Bhutan and also affect parts of the Arunachal Pradesh in India, where you can see this part is the entire Bhutan Himalayas. Next, we have the Eastern Himalayas. This division lies mostly in the Arunachal Pradesh and includes smaller ranges such as Dafla, Miri, Abor, Mishmi, and Patkaibam hills, where this is the entire Eastern Himalayas ranges. And here you can see the Dafla, Miri, Abor, Mishmi, and the Patkaibam. Well, next, moving on, we have the Purvanchal Himalayas. Here, the Himalayan range curves sharply southwards and extends into the northeastern states of India like the Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, and Tripura. The hills here are lower in elevation but are significant for the India's northeastern region. This is the entire Purvanchal ranges. And after that, we have the Pegu Yoma or the Arakan Yoma. These are located further southeast, extending into the Myanmar. They are considered the easternmost extension of the Himalayas and they form a natural border between the India and the Myanmar. These ranges are somewhere in here, just between India and Myanmar. So, in the summary, you can say that these are the Western Himalayas, and this includes the ranges like the Pir Panjal, the Nag Tibba, the Kumaon, and the Garhwal Hills. These are the Nepal Himalayas, where this part is known as the Mahabharat Lake. Coming next, this was the Bhutan Himalayas, and this part was the Eastern Himalayas. This was the Dafla, this was Miri, this was Abor, this was Mishmi, and this was the Patkaibam. And after that, we have this as the Purvanchal Himalayas, and finally, this part is the Pegu Yoma or the Arakal Yoma. And before moving further, I want you to quickly recall all the Himalayan ranges that I have mentioned here, including the Western Himalayas, Nepal Himalayas, Bhutan, Eastern, Purvanchal, Pegu Yoma, and the Arakal Yoma. Now, let's talk about the Trans-Himalayas. These are the mountain ranges that are located north to the main Himalayan ranges, mostly in the region of Ladakh and the Tibetan Plateau. Though not technically part of the Himalayas, they are called as Trans-Himalayas because they lie beyond the Himalayas. The main ranges in this zone are the Zaskar range, that is somewhere here, and then we have the Karakoram range, which is just below it, and then we have the Ladakh range, which is again at the bottom. So, the Karakoram range is especially important because it includes Siachen Glacier, that is one of the largest glaciers in the world outside the polar region. Several important passes in this region connect the India with Tibet, Bhutan, and China, including the Zojila, Shipkila, Nathula, Jelepla, Lanakla, and the Khardungla. These passes are strategically crucial and also historically significant for the trade and movement. And to sum up this part, we will again see and look after it, as this was the Zaskar range, and this part was the Karakoram range, and this part at the bottom is the Ladakh range. And next, I wanted to understand this, which is the Pakistan is present between the Suleiman range and the Kirthar range. In the Nepal Himalayas, that is present between Kali River and the Tista River. Then we have the Bhutan Himalayas or the Eastern Himalayas, which is present between the Tista River and the Dihang River. Moving further, we have the Purvanchal range that is present after the Dihang River and is also known as the easternmost. Well, there's something more to this. The Himalayan ranges are series of several parallel or the converging ranges, and then these are separated by the deep valleys, creating dissected topography. Also, the one thing that you can remember is the southern slopes are having steep gradient and the northern slopes are having gentler slopes. Well, the meaning of this in simpler terms is like, imagine you're climbing a mountain, and on the southern side, that is the side which is facing India or the plains, the mountains rise very sharply. That means the land rises quickly over a short horizontal distance. This makes the southern slopes very steep, like a cliff or a steep hill. On the northern side, which is the side facing Tibet and China, the mountains rise more gradually. That means the height increases slowly as you move further, and that makes the northern slopes gentler, like a broad ramp or rolling hill. Now let's understand the altitude wise, that is the vertical classification of the Himalayas from south to north. The mountain system is divided into three main ranges. The first is the Greater Himalayas, and these Himalayas are also known as the Himadri. Then we have the Lesser Himalayas, which are also known as the Himachal. And at the last, we have the Outer Himalayas, which are also known as the Shivaliks. Now, talking about the Greater Himalayas, that is the Himadri. This is the northernmost and the highest range. This includes perennially snow covered peaks like the Mount Everest, Kanchenjunga, and the Nanda Devi. The Greater Himalayas contains many glaciers, which are the sources of major rivers like the Ganga and the Yamuna. This range is the core of the Himalayan systems. It's massive, continuous, and forms the backbone of the entire mountain chain. Now let's talk about the Lesser Himalayas, which are also known as the Himachal. These Himalayas lies south of the Himadri, and the height ranges from around 3700 to 4500 meters. And the height usually ranges from 3700 meters to around 4500 meters. The next thing is that they are made up of compressed and uplifted sedimentary rocks, and these includes popular hill stations like Shimla, Mussoorie, Nainital, Ranikhet, and Darjeeling. While this region also includes famous tourist destinations and HPU hill resorts like the Chamba, Kufri, and Kasauli. Within this belt, the Mussoorie and Nag Tibba ranges are especially notable, with towns like Mussoorie, Dehradun, and Uttarkashi nestled around them. And this also includes important mountain ranges like the Dhauladhar range, the Pir Panjal range, the Mussoorie or the Nag Tibba ranges, and the Mahabharat Lake that extends into the Nepal. And after the important mountain ranges, this also includes major river valleys, Kullu Valley, which is drained by the Ravi River, and the Kangra Valley in Himachal Pradesh, and also the Kashmir Valley, which is lying between the Pir Panjal and the Zaskar ranges. And the Kashmir Valley is fed by rivers like the Jhelum, Chenab, and the Kishan Ganga. These valleys not only support agriculture and tourism, but also culturally and strategically vital. Now let's talk about the Outer Himalayas, that is the Shivaliks. While these are the southernmost and the youngest ranges of the and the altitude is relatively low and varies between 600 to 1500 meters, and these are composed of unconsolidated sediments, mainly conglomerates and deposits brought down by the river from the upper ranges. This range is geologically unstable and is prone to erosion and frequently affected by the landslides. The Shivalik ranges lies between the Lesser Himalayas and the Greater Plains, and hence plays a unique role in shaping the foothill geography of the northern India. Now, between the Shivaliks and the Lesser Himalayas, we find longitudinal valleys called the dunes. And the examples include Dehradun, Kotal Dun, Patli Dun, Chandigarh Kalka Dun, Nalagarh Dun, and the Harike Dun. These dunes are fertile and agriculturally rich. They are formed by the river deposition and are often used for settlements and cultivation. Let's now understand how the Himalayan ranges are arranged from west to east beginning with the Jammu Kashmir and Himachal and gradually moving towards Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, and beyond. So the first is the Pir Panjal, which is the major wall. While this is located in Jammu and Kashmir, it is the southernmost range of the Western Himalayas and it lies south of the Zaskar range and forms a barrier between the Kashmir Valley and the outer hills. And the notable passes includes the Banihal Pass, which is now bypassed by the Atal Tunnel, the Pir Panjal Pass, and the Baramulla Pass. These passes are strategically crucial for connecting Jammu with Srinagar and Leh. Then moving towards the Nag Tibba ranges or the Mussoorie range into the Himachal and Uttarakhand. While this range lies south of the Greater Himalayas and is prominent in the Uttarakhand region, and it includes famous hill stations like Mussoorie, Chakrata, and Nainital. This is a part of Lesser Himalayas and is followed by the ranges like Mahabharat Lake as we move into Nepal, and all this we have covered in the previous sections. And also, one unique feature of the Himalayas is the presence of high altitude grasslands, which are known as the Bughyals. And in Uttarakhand, the Bughyals are found in the Nag Tibba and the Mussoorie range. And in the Jammu Kashmir, similar meadows are called the Margs. The famous examples includes the Gulmarg, which is meadow of flowers. These are located just below the snow lines, and they are rich in wildflowers and also used for migratory shepherds and herders. And if you're wondering what snowline is, we'll cover that further in the video. And also, these margs and the bughyals are ecologically sensitive and tourist attracting zones. Another notable feature is the formation of karevas, which are thick deposits of glacial clay embedded in the moraines. These are used for the cultivation of saffron, and saffron is the local variety of saffron. Now, let's understand what snowline actually is. Well, the snow line is nothing but the altitude above which the snow persists throughout the year, and it varies between the eastern and western Himalayas due to the climate differences, and we'll cover that further in the video. Now, let's enter the central and the eastern Himalayas. First, we'll talk about the Nepal Himalayas. These are the longest stretch of the Himalayas lying in the Nepal region from east to west, and these are home to some of the tallest peaks in the world, such as the Mount Everest, the Kanchenjunga, the Dhaulagiri, and the Annapurna. The Kathmandu Valley and the Mahabharat ranges are also prominent here, and they are formed mostly above the sedimentary rocks, especially the sandstone. Now let's talk about the Sikkim Himalayas. These mountains are narrower and more rugged, and the notable peaks includes the Donkia Hills and the Kanchenjunga. And also, Saramati is the highest peak in the northeastern India. Though it's not part of the Himalayan system, it belongs to the Purvanchal Hills. Moving further, let's talk about the Assam Himalayas. These Himalayas show dominance of fluvial erosion due to heavy rainfall. And these are fed by rivers like the Brahmaputra, and its tributaries includes Dihang, Dibang, Lohit, shapes the valleys. And the other notable features includes the Dihang Gorge, the Duars or the floodplains at the base, or the Deeplu Pass, which is the tri-junction between India, China, and Myanmar. Then let's talk about the Purvanchal Hills, that is the easternmost Himalayas. While this region is where the Himalayas sharply turn southwards and then stretch into the northeast. I'll just make a quick map for better understanding. While this is the Dafla Hills, this is the Miri Hills, these are Abor, this is Mishmi, and this one here is Patkaibam, this is the Naga Hills, this one is Manipur Hills, this is the Lushai Hills, and the two ranges in Assam Himalayas are the Beral Range and the Mekir Hills. And also, one important point is that the Shillong Plateau includes the Garo, Khasi, and the Jaintia Hills, which are somewhere here. This is Garo, this is Khasi, and these ranges are the Jaintia Hills. The Shillong Plateau lies to the south and is part of the peninsular India and not the Himalayas. Moving further and talking about the vegetation, biodiversity, and ecozones, the eastern Himalayas are part of the richest biodiversity hotspot in the world. And along with the Western Ghats, they are the key eco-sensitive zones in the India. While the alpine vegetation goes up to the 4,000 meters in the east and only 3,000 meters in the west. And this happens because there is more rainfall in the East Himalayas compared to the Western Himalayas. Now let's talk about the key differences between the Western Himalayas and the Eastern Himalayas. While the first is for the geographic location, the Western Himalayas are particularly located in the Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand region, and the Eastern Himalayas are particularly in Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, and parts of Assam and Bhutan. The width is broader in Western Himalayas, and the width is narrower in Eastern Himalayas. Well, the orientation is northwest to southeast, and the orientation in Eastern Himalayas is north to south, which I've told you further that it turns and bends southwards into the Purvanchal. Talking about the snow line and altitude, the snow line is lower in Western Himalayas and it's higher in the Eastern Himalayas. The climate is cold and dry, and the climate in Eastern Himalayas is warm and humid. About the rainfall, it's less rainfall, and in Eastern Himalayas, there is heavy rainfall due to the monsoonal winds. You can have a check and have a brief look at all these key differences. Well, there are some key points that you should always keep in mind about this topic. The first one being the Siachen Glacier, which is present in the Karakoram range. And then talking about the key difference between Himalayas and the peninsular India is that the Himalayas are unstable, young, weak, and flexible, and the peninsula is rigid and stable. Then talking about the hill station in terms of height, which is given in the NCERT textbooks, well, you'll be surprised to know, but Mussoorie or Darjeeling or Shimla is not the highest or at the highest altitudes in the terms of hill stations, but the highest one is the Ooty, which is in Nilgiri in Tamil Nadu and is also known as Queen of Hill Stations. And this is a drastic 2240 meters. Then at the second place, we have Shimla, which is 2206 meters in Himachal Pradesh. Then at third, we have Darjeeling, which is also known as Land of Celestial Thunderbolts, is in West Bengal and is at 2042 meters altitude. Then at the fourth place, we have Mussoorie in Uttarakhand, which is known as Queen of Hills and is at 2006 meters. This was about the hill stations.